Welcome to Winning Begins at Home. I'm Randy Gravitt. Glad you're here with us. Middle of the week, Father's Day week, and I'm excited about it. We've been talking about it the last couple of days. Been sharing some thoughts for dads, and I got a new one today. Really kind of ties into what we talked about yesterday. If you missed any of these episodes this week, I hope you'll go back and check it out. Yesterday we talked about the power of our words and our tone of voice, some of that stuff. I think some practical stuff there that maybe you can do a little bit of inventory and make some adjustments based on that conversation. I've got my baton with me. I've been bringing it all week, my track baton. I got this thing. I did an event for a national organization, actually an international organization a couple of years ago. And we were working with some of their executive leaders and their emerging leaders came to this training. And one of the things that we did is we gave everybody a baton and talked about the power of transferring those values of the organization from one generation to the next. And it made me start thinking about the power of a parent, specifically a dad this week. I'm talking about the idea of how do we transfer what we believe and who we are and what we want our kids to know and help them to get to a better place. And so this idea of the baton, it sort of struck me there. And I hope you'll give some thought to what are you transferring to your kids. I think this is a big deal. And you may be a mom who's listening as well. And I think this is still a very relevant conversation no matter. And even if we're not parents, you probably do have some young people that you're around or younger leaders that you're around, and you have a chance to influence them in an impactful way. Well, I was talking to a dad recently and asking him, what is it that you're really trying to do? What do you think? What's a dad supposed to do? What's the biggest thing? And he made this statement. He said, we've got to teach them right from wrong. I've heard this my whole life. People think that our job as dads is to teach our kids right from wrong. And I think that is one of the things that we need to do. But I think if we're not careful, we can just believe that the most important thing and the only thing really that we're supposed to be doing is teach our kids the rules. And because we want them to have a good life. And I mean, our motive's usually pretty good. A lot of times we really do want our kids to have an opportunities that maybe we haven't had, whatever. But if we're not careful, we can just become a rule book. And I'm not sure that's what a dad's supposed to be. I think there's more to it than just being a rule book. I heard a quote years ago that said this: rules without relationships lead to rebellion. A rule without a relationship leads to rebellion. And I was a young dad the first time I heard that. And it really reminded me of the power of the relationship. The relationship is, in fact, more important than the rule. If all you do is give rules and you don't have a relationship with your kids, there's a really great chance that your kid's going to rebel. And they're not going to want any part of it. They're going to, if you don't really want to have a relationship with them, why would they care what you have to say? It's the old, people don't care what you know until they know how much you care, and I think there's really some truth to that for dads as well. And so I would ask you to take a second here and ask yourself, how's your relationship with your kid or kids? Maybe you have more than one kid. And if you do, and you've not really thought about this a lot, here's what I've noticed for me when my kids were growing up, and they're grown now and have their own families, and I'm getting to have a little more fun now as a granddad than I really would have anticipated. It's just pretty amazing. But it's reminding me that when you're in the grind of it, and some of you really are in the grind, your kids at home. I was talking to a guy the other day. He's got a junior in high school, and he's trying to, they're trying to navigate the last couple of years. And I was talking to another guy last week, and he's got a 9-year-old and a couple in college with a 9-year-old. And he's like, they've got another season coming here with this 9-year-old. And so they're all trying to navigate that. And so it's easy for me to say some of the stuff I'm going to say from the standpoint of my kids aren't at home, and I don't have some of the challenges that you may have right now, but I have had these challenges. And I know it is so easy to be concerned with, are they doing the right thing, that we're not concerned about them. And so I want to just encourage you today to make sure that your relationship with your kid is right. And if you've got something that's a rule that needs to be enforced or needs to be, in place, those rules are for their protection. I just spent a week at the beach, and we had a great time. And One of the things that I noticed as we were in the water down on the Gulf, and one of the things I noticed is as you look back from the Gulf back toward the house where we were staying, there actually on either side there was a high rise on one side, and that high rise had this massive building, and it had all these balconies, and I noticed that all the balconies had guardrails on them. Now, why were those guardrails there? Those guardrails there were to protect people who might be out on the balcony. I mean, I've never, in fact, I've never thought about this way, but could you imagine somebody being on, let's say, the 15th floor, and they check into their room or into their condo, whatever that was, and they go out and onto the patio, and there's a guardrail, and they go back into the room and pick up the phone and call management and say, why do we have this rail here? This is stupid. It's blocking our view of the water. Nobody would ever do that. That's crazy if you think about it. And yet sometimes we forget that those rules, they really are important. They're in place to protect us. Those are boundaries. Those are opportunities for us to make sure that our children don't get hurt, so to speak. Well, those do need to be in place, but sometimes we need to make sure that we can have a conversation about that, and they understand why. It's not, we said so, and so you're going to do it. That posture of harshness, we talked about this yesterday, that's never going to persuade anybody that this is the right thing for them. And so I want to just encourage you today to really think through, are there places where you need to have rules? Yes. But let's make sure that we couple those with relationship. If we do, I think the chances of them rebelling against whatever that rule is, it's going to be, again, as I said, it's going to dial that back. They're going to want to be protected, hopefully. And so I think a lot of that comes from those conversations we can have. So I want to encourage you today, rules without relationship, they're going to probably lead to rebellion. Let's make sure that we link rules and relationships together. And I think we can create a safe environment for our kids, one that they're gonna be thankful that they're gonna be a part of. They're still gonna be kids. They're still gonna push up to the boundary. I saw people at the hotel down there. They were leaning over the rail, but thankfully those rails were in place to protect people. And I think the same thing can be true. Maybe we can think through what it would look like to have such a relationship that we could go up to the boundary of that rule together, and we could think about what are the consequences on the other side, and have some conversations about that. And I think you can position yourself to have more impact. All right. Love you guys. Remember, winning begins at home.